All right. My name is Marianne and my place is Blaze Pilates. I call it my Blaze Pilates dojo, not my studio. And I'm from New York originally, and I've been here quite a few years though, but I'm still a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been training just a little under 5 years in Pilates, and I'm 54 now. I found Pilates when I was almost 50.
There you go.
So
Nice.
yeah.
How did you find Pilates?
I've been practicing martial arts for 42 years, and about 5, 6 years ago, I was training almost every day with my sensei down in Miami, and one day I just looked in the mirror and I noticed the turtle that I had become. You know, my
Yes.
my shoulder. I didn't notice. I don't know how I didn't notice that for 15
Yes.
years boxing
Yes.
because I was a professional boxer.
Oh, you were?
Um,
Cool.
yes, I was a professional, so I was just in that tunnel. And I looked over and I saw what had happened to my alignment, and I couldn't believe it. And I heard Pilates was good, for correcting alignment. And so I just
Yes.
went to the studio that had classes every day.
Hmm.
That this lady offered classes every day, and I would just go after boxing, like my regular exercise. And then I started feeling good, and but I started asking her questions. I was like, "Ooh, there's how exactly?" And so this was a
Yes.
contemporary Pilates
Hmm.
on Allegro, and I could feel there was more. I could feel I wasn't doing it. I could feel there was more to these exercises, and I would ask her, and either
Yes.
she didn't know or she uh, didn't know, or they don't train like that. I don't know. But I just started looking about what's Pilates, and I went to the most classical place I could find. Like, he had a black and white website. My teacher, David Freeman,
Okay.
who's a
Yeah.
second generation, yeah, and
Yeah.
ended up. I just walked in there, like, hey, I wanted to just get a certification so I could open a studio. I'm like, this lady had 5 reformers, just training people all day.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow, that's an easy gig. I can make 6 figures real quick. Just go get a cert. I was a certified trainer, Pilates. I
Yes.
did sports conditioning for boxers. So
Hmm.
I was just thinking it was like, oh,
Another
a little
add-on.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I met David. Do you know David?
No, I never heard of him. I don't. If those of you in the chat know him, if he's a second generation teacher, I'm sure you've crossed paths
Hmm.
with him somewhere. Like, but no, I personally haven't. I'll look him up after for sure.
Yes, he was running the USP with Brett Howard. That's their
Okay.
organization.
Yes.
And he was just he's like 72 at the time.
Mhm.
And cool as can be. I walked in, I'm still boxing. I'm still like, I'm walking in like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah. Getting
know,
swagger. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, so I want to learn this and get certified. And he's like, oh, okay, all right. Have you been training? I'm like, yeah, I've been training every day for 8 months.
Yes.
And so he said, okay, we do lessons. And but I only trained on the reformer and only Allegro, so
Yes.
I
You have
got
like
my foot
one
in.
corner of like the whole thing, right? Like,
I didn't know. I had no idea. It was good. It was good. I put my foot in the leg spring, and I just looked at him and was like, okay, yeah, never mind what I said. I want to do, yeah, whatever this
yes.
is, yeah, I want to do that. And
Yes.
because I got the feedback mechanism right away. I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
It would take me maybe 10 to 20 years to learn what I could learn in 1 minute. And it's so genius. And
Yes.
then I was hooked. I was hooked. And then, of course, he busted my butt, and he was doing
Yeah.
stuff like
But you're like
from
you're like
day
a
one.
you're a pro boxer though. Like you're in shape, you know your stuff, you got it.
Oh yeah, he wasn't gonna hurt me. So his big
Right.
thing was, he's like, well, I'm not stronger than you. Why can I do? And
Mm.
you can't go with a strong person. I think this is a mistake that Pilates teachers make. You're not gonna go with a football player or a guy like you or a girl like me. You're not gonna. You're not stronger than me. So don't. That's a dumb way to go. So he knew it, and he's like, oh, I'm not stronger than you. How come I can do this? And then
Oh.
I was like, yeah, why can you do that? And then he
Love
tricked
that.
me. Yeah,
Yes.
he was doing the pull up with no spring,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I was like, yeah, okay. He knows something I don't know. And that's how he got me.
Yes. Well, that's he's speaking your language, right? Like, I mean, you can like
Hmm.
if he did that with someone else who was maybe deconditioned, they'd be like, I'm out. I can't do this. This is too hard for me. It's discouraging. But you throw it at an
Yeah.
athlete that has that killer instinct, you
Hmm.
and then it's like, okay, let's go. It's game time. Let's see if I can get this. And if it takes me two
Yeah.
years, I'm gonna get it. But
Oh,
like
yeah.
yeah,
2 years is not like the things that I've done for 2 years. I don't even kind of put those on my resume,
yeah.
in karate, like 10 years is you're still a beginner, and Pilates is so much faster though.
Hmm.
I think that's the Pilates method, the feedback, these apparatus that he created enables you to get to a level of mastering your body
Mastery.
that would take maybe at least 10 years in boxing and probably closer to 20 years in martial arts to develop the fascial tension that you can create with this apparatus and learn.
Fascinating.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's so fast. Martin, I change people's bodies in 10 lessons. Like
Yeah.
you're literally,
Yeah. Yeah.
literally. And that, I mean, nothing else does that.
No.
I can do it if you want to train. That's why I don't teach karate. Like, not just American people, but anybody now is not going to, if you tell them it's going to take you 5 years to even look like you sort of know what you do, it's going to take you 20. They don't want it, they want
Most
it
of the time.
now, yesterday.
Yes. Yes.
And so there's value there's value in that in
Yes.
the long journey, but there's value in creating change now too.
Right. 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 Right.
And
And it's interesting too because I've had people that I've done like these community classes in my area where people will come for like a 45-minute Pilates class, and I know that that is the only thing that they do in their week. So literally their only touch point with movement is Wednesday at 5:30 once a week, and still see their body change over the course of a year.
isn't that amazing?
That's
Isn't that
really
isn't it started. I've only been I'm a young teacher. This is only
yes.
my second year teaching, and I have a woman who had pins in her elbow. Her knee is just torn up, and I mean, so what she can do is limited. I would say half the time it's about us connecting, and half is work. And still, the changes that it
Baffles
baffles
me.
me. It baffles me.
No, I
It
feel you.
baffles me. It baffles me because, and I had to let go of a lot of that about the hard work and
Mhm.
what I think is effort, you know, and what a regular person effort and learning to deal with all types of people. I had only been around men.
Mhm.
Every sport that I did was all men. I was in a gym for 5 years. I was the only female. So,
Yes.
some people say that, but for real, I lived in a house with five guys and me. Well, there was no women in camp. There was no women, and
Yeah.
so I never trained women. Never. I didn't know anything about women or their bodies or how they or their mentality.
Yes.
Quite different.
That's a whole separate conversation I want to get to in a second because like there's a different mindset that comes when you're looking at from that perspective. But um it just in terms of like your background now, like you're new to Pilates, but you're not new to fitness,
No.
right? So
No,
and I
I
think
was I
that's
was a
the
personal trainer from 1990, and
right, exactly.
yeah,
So you
I was
understand
a
body,
trainer.
you understand movement, you understand so many things, and this is just another tool in your toolbox.
Yes, and I understand teaching. I've been teaching. I had my first dojo at 16
Oh,
years
really?
old. I was
Yeah.
married. I was married at 16. I
That's a whole
don't know.
separate
I think
story.
yeah, that's another video. But yeah, so when I went as an apprentice, so I took 10 lessons with David, and I entered the program.
Yes.
That's it. So they didn't have to teach me how to teach.
Right.
I already know how to teach.
Yes.
Uh, Maybe teaching women, I've learned a lot about teaching from Pilates. Pilates is a language now for
Yes.
teaching my other stuff. When I went to Okinawa 2 years ago, I hadn't been in a while, and Pilates gave me a whole new language to correct people with. A
Right.
simple, oh my
Yes.
God, it was like it was amazing how I could correct people so much faster, with
Yes.
the language now that I have.
Absolutely. That's the thing,
Mm.
like, as a personal trainer and then finding Pilates, I came back to my personal training clients and my cues were so much sharper.
Yes,
My eyes were better. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could
yes,
see, like it's just so
yes.
funny how much it just elevates your whole game across the board.
And that is what I want to speak a little bit into, what the benefits of Pilates um, for athletes. So just say for boxers, for example, I
Yes.
trained boxers for many years, and you would always think a guy is getting old, right? 33 years old is the
Hmm.
first kind of, and they say it's the legs, right? But it's
Yes.
not the muscle. It's not the muscles. It's the fascia. It's the fascia's getting
Yes.
so, from pounding, the fascia's getting so tight, the SI, everything just kind of starts seizing up down there, and
Yes.
they can't generate anymore. And they just think, oh, that's the way that it is, right? That's the
Right.
way it is at
That's just the
33,
aging
37.
process. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So exactly. And now, and you see, so Mike Tyson just fought, right, 2 weeks ago. He's 54. Boxing is all about fascial tension,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
It's all about creating that fascial tension and then relaxing. Right. And so that's
Yes.
like when you get to the advanced levels in martial arts too. I mean, you have to go through the stages,
Hmm.
building hardening, and then you let go, and but you still have your structure.
Yes.
But the energy is relaxed.
Right.
Um, you could go in depth. Right now, you're pretty probably advanced in your Pilates, where you feel like you could do Pilates for 10 hours, and
Right.
you feel great.
Right. Because I was going to say earlier, the difference between effort and efficiency,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we started out in this industry with effort, 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 and now it's like, okay, how can we make that movement more efficient? How do I learn which muscles I need to recruit to make this movement happen? How do we have that tension and release, interrelationship with our fascia as we do certain things, right? So it becomes more about our efficiency of movement as opposed to the effort put into the movement.
Right, right. And Pilates helped me a lot
Elasticity.
with that because
Yeah, sorry, Joel's comment there,
elasticity.
elasticity. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so to restore and to retain that for an
Hmm.
athlete, if you tell a guy, so maybe they're not interested in fly, but if I tell you, hey, you're gonna get 10 more years, and that means $20 million, maybe,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
if you can lengthen your career and get another 5 fights, well, you
Yes.
know. And there are some fighters that Evander Holyfield did it during his career. I don't know if you know that.
Okay.
Andre Ward, who was pound for pound, but they don't
Yes.
really mention it.
They don't.
I don't think they understand. I don't think that they know. I didn't kind of know all this until recently, till COVID, till I started studying anatomy trains and all the fascia stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's what I'm
Yes.
doing.
Yeah,
That's why I
yeah.
can jump every day. I jump rope for 22 minutes. That's just before anything. So like 2,000, 2,500 jumps to
Yes.
begin the workout.
Yes.
Um, you're not doing that with your muscle.
Right.
That's
Right.
impossible. That's
Right. Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we're creating fascial tension. Oh. And then
Yes.
everything just gets so much easier,
It does. It does.
and it starts feeling so much better. I'm getting one more banner. It's going to say focus on the feel good.
Yes. Yeah.
Focus on the feel good.
That's creative. And I had Peter Twist is like a sport conditioning guy from Canada. He's all over the world and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he used to say all the time was like, you're training the movement, not the muscle,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yes.
so when I was in just
That's
personal
great.
training, yeah, and when I was in personal training exclusively, that resonated with me more than saying, okay, let's work on your bicep. How big is your bicep now? Or how big is your bench press now? It's like, well, let's train movement patterns instead of just training muscles. So it totally made sense when I got more into Pilates, how all these things are interrelated. And then also, like you're saying about the contracts for boxers, when I'm working with basketball guys, when I step in front of like the Raptors 905, I'm starting to tell them the value of this, the Raptors farm team. And I was like, this is the difference between signing a 1 year contract when you're 30 or signing a 5 year contract when you're 30, right? Like
Yes.
just having that elasticity in your muscles and having that range of motion and that injury prevention and stuff, like that's our language. And then
Mm-hmm.
Troy McCarty, who was on, he works with the basketball team Cleveland, the Cavs. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of using that language around contracts and years, he broke it down to minutes. And he would say, this is the
Mm-hmm.
difference between having more minutes on the court or not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so interesting how we find our words that resonate with our athletes. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, these guys, everyone wants more minutes. Everyone wants more playing time. It's not about the
Mm-hmm.
10-year contract. It's about getting minutes at the end of the game because you're healthy enough, strong enough, fit enough, good enough to be there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we find our
And
language a little different.
ultimately, it's about the feeling. You know why?
Yes.
I don't know if you watched Mike Tyson's interview after the fight. It was great.
I want to
But
talk about Tyson after, yes, actually. Yeah.
he's just, why are you boxing at this point? Because the feeling, the feeling that you
Mm.
get when
Hmm.
you're able to move this way. And
Yes.
this is what getting old is. This is what getting old is. You can't move the way you used to. And
Yes.
so Joe he was 84, right? And still could
Yes.
move the way he moved. I want to move like this, till
Yes.
I'm 90. And the Okinawan Masters of Karate, they are still moving uh, at 80, 90. One of our senseis just died in his 90s.
Yes.
So they're still doing it,
Yes.
like, yeah.
That's and going back to Tyson for a second, that's the thing that I love watching. I'm 45, so I grew up watching Tyson in his prime, watching
Right?
him go down, and all these different things. So watching him in that fight the other day was such awakening for me in terms of just celebrating how he moves. Like
Yes.
just like he was beautiful, his footwork was beautiful, his hands were
Yes.
beautiful, and
Hmm.
yeah. So I mean, I just wanted being a pro
It
boxer.
was,
What
it
was
was,
your thoughts on it?
oh, so, well, he said, I'll let you, I didn't mean to cut you in the question, but he
No,
said
please go.
that he really didn't want to knock the guy out. He wanted to go rounds,
Yeah,
he just,
yeah.
man, it's just, I, I stopped going to the gym every day just 2 years ago when I was 52. And I sparred the other day, and my friend owns a barbershop next door to me, and he has he was a boxer. We're friends. He was my
Yes.
sparring partner for 20 years, and
Cool.
he happens to own the store next door.
Cool.
And he has a boxing gym in the back of his barbershop.
Yes.
So
So cool.
he taunted me into sparring, and it's just, man, I don't know any athlete. It's just hard to let go of that feeling. It just feels so good. And now I feel good enough not only to do that, but also I kind of stopped doing my karate because, not stopped, but I wasn't getting the joy because I was so tight and my alignment was
Yes.
so off. And just this year, I started feeling like, oh, I have my, I don't know, center back. I have my
Yes.
karate body back where I can do it and it feels good. Not where it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I have to overcome. You're a muscular guy, you feeling
Yes.
like you got to break
Yes.
out of a shell just to get, and then you're like, oh, but
Hmm.
it's, and some days you get it, some days you don't.
Some
But
days,
now
yeah.
it's like I'm living there. Now I'm kind of living there, which is nice.
Yes. There's that
Yeah.
I love, yeah, like Joel's saying, that is wonderful. There's such a joy to movement for me, and I
Oh,
hear it in the way that you're talking about it. Like when your
I can't
body
not
can,
move.
yeah, well, I can't not move. Exactly. Yeah. And it makes me think, like, people always ask me, like, how long have you been working out for? How old were you when you started working out? And they start asking you those kind of questions. And one of the things I've said to people, and I don't know if they believe me or not, but I haven't missed a week completely of working out since I was 16.
Hmm.
It's where like I've done stuff, and even if I can't get to the gym, I'm doing push-ups, I'll do pull-ups, I'll try something. Like there's a joy of movement that is not like, oh, I missed my workout today. It's like, oh, I haven't moved today yet. I gotta do something.
Yeah, I don't. For me, it's not what I do; it's who I am. Uh,
Yes.
it's it work. I don't even say workout. I train. I train. I study. Um, you know, a workout, I don't know, is something you do. This is who I am. Once my
Yes.
sensei, he passed away quite a while ago, but he was asking us. We were talking about losing body parts, like, which, if you had to pick, if you had to pick finger, toe. Anyway, the conversation went to, if somebody gave you $100,000, and they told you couldn't train anymore. At this time, I was mostly just doing martial arts, but they said you couldn't do martial arts anymore. Would you take it? And there were different levels of people, green belts, brown belt. I think I was maybe third dan at the time. So we went to 100,000, then we went to a million. People's answers changed, and we got to like 10 million, and that's the moment I realized, I'm like, oh, no, I wouldn't, who would I be? What do you mean? I wouldn't know who I am if I didn't move.
Right.
It defines me.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
I was letting that just sit out there for a minute. That's so you're so passionate about
and that's why I resonate with Brooke. Yeah, like I've been training with Brooke a lot lately because.
Oh, have you? Okay, cool, nice.
Oh yeah, this is she's brought a lot to my practice. She's the first one that I feel like understood what it's like to break through this strong, stable. I'm the Martin. I fought for 4 decades and I had no injuries, 0. Never had an injury.
Amazing.
Don't have any injuries.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how stable I am. Yes. And I feel like she's the first one that helped me use my strength to find the length.
Yes.
And she really understands that. And perhaps she had to work through it herself, maybe, or she just worked with so many people like that. But I went on her course help, and I saw the Tao of Pilates. And then I just signed. I was like, okay, yeah.
There you go.
Because it is a way. It is a way, just like karate, do, a way. It's a way, and that's what I teach here. Mm-hmm. I think you asked me maybe in the what's my ideal? And my ideal is a student. I'm a teacher. I'm not an instructor. I teach people. Mm-hmm. I have students. I don't have clients. I don't really want clients.
Yes.
I have students, and it's kind of cool, and that is fun. Totally fun. And I'm not working. I'm not working really.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and your connection with Brooke really speaks to the fact that our teacher is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Our teacher is out there, and we find people that just resonate with what we do and who we are and what we're, philosophically, how we're aligned. And when you find that, it just makes you come that much more alive. Like, I love that. I love that story.
Man.
Yeah.
So when I was in my program, let's just say that the program wasn't really, it wasn't organized well. The women involved were not strong in terms of strong. They weren't strong in their practice. They didn't practice. Okay. So I sought out Chris Robinson a year into my training. I was going to quit. I'm like, this is Pilates, not Pilates, but, and I sought him out. I'm like, oh, this guy fights. Like, he's going to, but I was still in this mode, Martin. I was still in like, let's go, and Chris, have you interviewed Chris?
I trained with Chris, actually.
You trained, Chris is like, he had me turn it down enough notches that I could even feel Pilates, because it took me, I would say, 2 or 3 years to even feel the subtlety of Pilates.
Right.
I could get everything done, but I didn't actually feel the subtlety.
No, you just muscle through it. You're an athlete. You just got it done.
I'm doing it, and I'm hearing it, and and also a lot of the cues that a lot of the teachers use just don't work for my body. I don't know if you've had that experience. I don't need to pull in. I don't need to squeeze. I don't need any of that.
Well, yeah, ever. I mean, I
for as long as I live.
Yeah. Well, even just a soapbox of just gender-centric cues too, right? Like, I mean, I don't need to roll back to my bra line. I don't need, you go, what works for the people that are in front of you? So I keep saying, as an athlete, what does your body need? How, what will make sense to you to get you to move through to the place and to feel the exercise the way you're supposed to feel it?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the genius of Pilates, and it's still so amazing to me, is that it can work to create the balance, and that's so no matter if you need stability or you need mobility, the same exercise, the same cues. Right. If you know what the exercise is about, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what Joe probably, he created Pilates for boxers and these circus people and strong people, and then he gave it to the dancers and he fixed them. He fixed them,
Right.
And he's like, oh my God, it works. It's a double, it's a two-sided coin,
Yes.
you know,
Exactly.
and this is like the points in your body. You use it to heal,
Hmm.
to hurt,
Yeah.
or for pleasure. It's
Right.
all the same. So I choose. So we choose how to apply the method. If I want to create stability or I want to create mobility, we're choosing how to use that for
Yes.
that person.
Beautiful.
Anyway,
Yeah, exactly. Serena,
I talk a lot.
no, you're good. I listen a lot, and I'll throw stuff out there to keep you going. So Serena Allen was on this panel I was on yesterday, and she was talking about her work with Kathy Grant,
Hmm.
right? And she was saying when she was a young dancer, she had this bad injury, like a brain concussion, and she was out, and she was told she'll never dance again. Met with Kathy. Kathy, to this day, she doesn't know what Kathy did in these sessions with her, and she danced for another 40 years professionally.
Hmm.
That is the amazingness of the work that we do in the hands
Hmm.
of the right person.
Hmm. Yeah. It's creating the stability, it's creating the balance.
Yep.
It's that that apparatus, the way that you connect, that is your training partner. In karate we have this, but people are people are touching you, they're hitting you. There's another person involved. In Pilates, it's you and your partner, the apparatus, and how you connect to the apparatus is everything, and it uh,
Mm-hmm.
helps you find that balance and create the harmony in your body. The teacher doesn't have to do that much, really. I just have to make you aware,
I was
and
gonna
then
say, that's it.
just make you aware. That's
Make you
all.
aware, right?
Make you
Yeah.
aware. That's all. That's easy. And
Yes.
I'm finding that more and more. Right. I don't have to explain so much. Just
Right.
set it up. Go. Practice.
Yep,
Practice.
exactly. And that's if I could just quote Lori Coleman Brown, who just walked into the room here, she'd say like just let the person move. Like, just go, go,
Yeah.
go, and then you pounce, right? Then you just jump
Yeah.
in, make this little adjustment. Do you feel that? Do you see that's working out? Okay, go. Okay, hold on.
Hmm.
And you add like you just like let them go, give them a little directive, let them go, right? So they're finding that awareness and that ownership of the work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been hard. That's been hard because for some reason, because Pilates is so much faster than my other methods that I know so much better and more familiar with. I wouldn't expect somebody to come and box and be any good in less than even a couple of years. I wouldn't
Yes.
expect that in karate that this I would, you know what I mean? My
Yeah.
expectation. So, but I don't know why in Pilates we think somebody's going to articulate every vertebra like in the second
Yeah.
lesson. I'm like, well, let me speak for myself. I'm like, why am I even just practice another, 5,000 times and
And
yeah,
you got it. You'll
and
nail it.
and
Yeah.
and enjoy the practice,
Yes.
enjoy the journey, because then when you have those breakthroughs, wow, how sweet is that, You're like, oh, I
Absolutely.
couldn't do this. Don't you love when your clients were like, oh, that was hard for me last week, and
Right. We honestly, we just talked about this yesterday, how Judith was saying how she's addicted to that aha moment. She chases after seeing
oh yeah,
our
oh
people
yeah,
get that aha moment.
oh yeah. When they go, the lady says to me, she's doing a roll up, super struggles with the roll up. Oh, this is the back of the body, just all on their own. You're like, you know, I mean, I have a lot of my people train a lot too. Like, I have people that come every day,
Yes.
because that's how I made it up. When I just started kind of as a joke, just a small studio, because I came back from Okinawa, and I was like, oh, stop with the bull. You can teach and work. I had a full-time job. So until
Yeah.
COVID, I had a full-time job. I worked in a casino, deal poker
Yeah.
full-time at
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
and I had a
Yeah.
studio. And you can do all that, but it started just like a little joke,
It's
like,
almost
oh,
like
I'm
just
gonna
a
do
hobby,
this.
right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, well, only so I could have somewhere to train because I had the entire studio in my apartment. I had everything except a guillotine in my apartment, in my
Yeah.
one bedroom. So I just got a little spot, and I'm like, okay, well, it'll be my little place. If you guys want to come over, that's
Right.
cool. And I think because I train every day, that my students think you're supposed to train every day.
Mm.
So they practice all the time. They're sitting, they're in their car practice.
Yes.
They adopted my philosophy, or the people that wanted that found me. I don't know,
Yes.
whichever.
Wow. Well, yeah.
I know
Just,
so much, so much, so much.
yeah.
And another guy I work with, Michael Johnson. Have you had
Um,
him on?
I haven't had him on yet. He's a colleague of Chris's too, right? Or no?
Actually, he was Chris's first teacher.
His first teacher.
Hmm.
Right.
He kind of, I think Chris was friends with his brother.
Okay.
And but Michael also is doing yoga for 40 years, so another person that has these multiple disciplines. And we always talk about cross-pollination
Yes.
of things and ideas. And he's the guy that I talk to. And then last night I get on the foot correctors and I'm doing my karate stance practice
Yes.
because this kid came to me. He's 10, world champion, been training since he's 3 years old, and he's trying to, yeah. But one of his stances is really needs some work.
Yeah.
And I was trying to take it apart, and then Michael was saying something about this thing, and I get on the foot corrector, and I'm like, got it. Got a new, this tool is going to teach this kid in a matter of maybe 3 lessons what would take him in like 5 years.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. That's so intuitive. Like it makes sense, right? Like it really, I can see how it's made. It's just like pulled all the pieces together of everything else. The culmination of what you learned to date, right? With all your martial arts background.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's happening now, working with like you said, finding the right teachers that are helping me find myself,
Yes.
connect with the work of Pilates, because certainly I'm probably like a green belt or something Pilates, right? I certainly don't have the level of mastery in Pilates that I have in my other arts.
Yes.
But working with them, and then Michael's like my sounding board, and he lets when I talk to him, I get that inspiration, and then the things come together and they
Yes.
jive together. And I'm not changing anything. I'm not saying that that's Pilates. I'm using Joe's apparatus to inform an athlete to enhance his performance.
Right.
And I'm not, because I'm a big believer in classical. I do classical martial arts. We don't change anything. You find yourself in the work. You
Yes.
change. The work doesn't change.
Right.
You change. Right. And I dig that. I'm not a what do you call those?
Like
The jazz musician, the
improviser.
improviser. Yeah. That's not my journey. That's not my path. And I get it.
Yes.
And I have martial arts friends that are like that. They just, that. But what's true for me is keep it. You find yourself in that container.
Yes.
I've been doing the same forms for 40-something years.
Right.
And my sensei, every day I go, we have a new correction. How do you do that for 4? See, he's been training 60 years.
Yeah.
Right? So your Pilates is going to keep, if it's alive, if you practice.
Yes.
Practice is something that's alive. And if you practice and your practice is alive, you're always, my students are always like, how is it different every day?
Yes.
I'm like, well, I'm different every day.
Yeah,
Hopefully
really.
I'm growing.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully I keep putting together the pieces and I have something new for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Come and do the same mat class, 27,000. I mean, there's value in that too.
Yep. Yes.
There's value in repetition that you get from boxing, right?
Yes.
Over and over, the grind.
Yes.
So, but you still have to be looking in the grind, even though you're only doing the same.
Right.
Boxing's only 4 punches, bro. 4 punches.
Honestly, that's why
4 punches.
That's what I love about boxing, and that's what I
So
love
technical.
about it's so technical. It's just like everyone has the same weapons, and now go. How do you
you're matching it up. In karate, you got to fight everybody. You have a million techniques. MMA, you can hide. There's a lot of places you can hide.
Yes.
In these type of loose context,
Yes.
In a loose context, you can hide. When you have a tight context, Pilates, classical Pilates is a tight context. No, you
Yes.
can't really hide there, brother. You have it or you don't, right?
Thank you.
And yeah, boxing is a tight context. I got 4 weapons. We're the same weight.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
knock you out.
Right.
I'm gonna knock you out, and you're gonna stop me, and you're gonna, So I know, man. You got to be thinking deep.
Yes.
You got to be thinking. This is chess. You got to be thinking
That's
20,
chess.
20 moves in. You got to be thinking the whole fight has to be kind of already played out in your mind.
Absolutely.
And you're in the moment.
Yes, at the same time. Yeah.
And at the same time, but that's fun.
Yeah.
If
Now,
you like that.
so as a boxer looking at Jake Paul and Nate Robinson and their fight,
Mm-hmm.
what was your thoughts when you saw that being set up and then how it turned out?
Silliness, just silliness.
Yeah.
Silliness. The thing is, you remember when Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather?
Yes.
You remember how he couldn't keep his arms up
Yes.
at the end of the fight. So,
Right.
he doesn't have that fascial tension. He didn't have that. You have to train for it takes 10 years to build that up.
Yes.
And so that's why they don't take guys, even though Lomachenko, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, he lost to a veteran, right?
Yes.
He lost to a veteran because he didn't have that built up yet. It's a thing.
Yes.
You can't rush it. That's the kind of nice thing about. I always tell the young kids, I said, you can never catch me. I've been training 42 years. No matter,
Right.
you could be a world champion, but you still can never know what I know because I've been doing this for 40-something years. So a guy like any athlete that thinks they're going to just step in there and box, unless you have boxed, you have to have those millions. I did the numbers once, Martin, but it's kind of silly to do the numbers, but I did.
Yes.
So just in boxing, not karate, 22 years of boxing, 30 million punches thrown, hitting a surface, a bag, a person, mitts, maybe 15 million, 20 million times.
Million.
Being hit, million. That if you do the math.
Yeah.
So 25 million. And being hit maybe 30,000 times. Hit in the head maybe 10,000 times.
Yeah.
So, you need the number. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. And the ability to absorb punishment. I remember the first time I got punched in the liver.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after a while, I said this to my mom once. She goes, oh my God, and getting hit. And I'm like, oh, you get used to it. And she's like, that's crazy. I said, no, literally, if you're forging steel,
Yes.
they don't do it 3 times, right? They do it. I don't know. I'm not, but thousands, right? Millions.
Right.
How many?
Right. Yeah.
If you're hardening, with the exercises they do and hardening your finger, you're talking, where you are getting to those millions.
Yes.
There's probably a number
Right.
where it changes.
Yeah, that's at a tipping point, right? The 10,000 hours,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's this.
Yeah.
At some point, you reach mastery, you reach proficiency, you reach mastery. Mm-hmm. Pilates is the same. I just wanted to hear you talk shop on your boxing because it fascinates me.
Oh man, I love boxing. Boxing is that ex that you just can never leave. It's just every time you see them, you're like, oh. I know, I'm sorry, but that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about, I love boxing. You see me, I put my music on and I just jam, I hit the bags. Yeah. There's no feeling hitting people is better. It's a little more fun because they make noises and stuff. But the bag is good, for now. I really don't want to get hit. That's the thing about the Mike Tyson, one more segue to boxing, but you don't really want to get hit in the head. You don't want to get hit in the head if you're not prepared, right? Number one.
Right.
So that guy Robinson, asking me about that fight. So, yeah, he could have died. He could die.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
My ex-husband, someone did die. People do die boxing. You do die getting hit in the head. Mm-hmm. MMA not as much because they get cut or before they get.
Yes.
Anyway, people die. And the guy could have died. Mike, had every reason to be scared. He was really scared. He didn't fight for 15, he didn't get hit in the head for 15, 16 years.
Right.
So that first shot, when you get hit all the time every day, it doesn't feel like, you get used to it.
Right. Yeah.
You don't get hit for a minute, you're like, ooh.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
so that guy could have died. Yeah.
And you can see Tyson wasn't really headhunting either, right? Like you see Tyson was like, he was enjoying the minute, right? Like
he said it. He said he wanted to go the rounds. He wanted to box. Yes. And that's what we do like when we spar. It's called like two professionals. If you see two professionals sparring, we're working. We're kind of like we're playing, we're trying to outthink each other. But I'm not putting the intention behind the blow. So there wasn't that intentionality with Mike behind those blows, even though that they were hard. A regular person would get knocked out, but he didn't have that intentionality to really take you out. And that's kind of the difference between professional boxing and amateur boxing, is that intentionality. And amateurs are just trying to score points, But in boxing, you're trying to eliminate your competition. And you have to have that intentionality. And if you don't, someone feels it. That's a problem.
Yes.
Anyway,
talk another hour with you about all this amazingness, Marianne. So I love your passion, like,
thanks.
And and you're surrounding yourself with some amazing people in Brooke and Chris Robinson and Michael Johnson. These guys, like, they all know their stuff, like.
Oh man, next level. I feel so blessed that they, Brooke is like a ninja. Like her eyes are just, she sees everything, and she can do everything. Yeah. She does, and Michael too. I just say they're hard and they're soft and they have a wide range that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
But I think it's great having you. It's great having you, like, out here too, and I hope some of my people, joined in, and my boxer friends and my karate friends, and they, a lot of boxers are like, oh, that's stretching, and they don't understand. Yeah, it's stretching, but it's fascia stretching. Yes. So it's going to make you be able to generate more power. So having somebody like yourself, a really fit guy, for men to see out there, it's really important. Michael and I talk about this all the time, how to get this work to the people, really. Not that the people that are doing it aren't benefiting, but there's a whole population, and it. There's a whole population that they just could, oh man, if they knew, they would be busting our doors down. Right. They would be busting our doors down, like, because they do anything. You do anything when you're trying to be the best. You do anything. Like,
right, exactly.
What, I have to stand on my head 10 minutes and spin around? Okay. You don't even question.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And imagine if you found Pilates just around approaching your prime in your boxing career.
Brother. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I'm so blessed to not have any injuries, but man, I wish I found Pilates at the beginning of boxing.
Yes.
Because boxing, karate is all about alignment, the perfect alignment. It's Pilates, but standing up. But that's karate, right? But boxing is, you got to worry about somebody trying to hit you, and so you're making compensations. Yes. So I'm throwing my punch, but I'm also at the same time I'm blocking. Like, there's other stuff going on. I'm not just maintaining, the
static.
posture
It's fluid as opposed to static.
Yeah, and it's not about it. Now we're fighting, so whatever works.
Right.
Whatever works.
Yes.
And you have to worry about getting hit, and that changes your body. And getting hit. Mm-hmm. Getting hit. Like, football players are another population that would just benefit tremendously from more than other sports, like contact sports, because when you're constantly doing this, the fascia is rebounding. It's hard. It hardens.
Yes.
You need it. You love it. Do it. You're just like, right. Come on.
That's exactly it. And the reason why I said that, if only we had it back then, that's what fuels me, because my background's football. To get it to people, right? Because I'm like, I know what this would have done for me when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
I chase after that. I want to get those I want to get those men in it because I know that it'd be a game changer for them, and they'll be kicking themselves that they didn't do it earlier. So that's my sense of urgency in getting Pilates to people. Just
How do you do
knowing,
that? How do you put it out there to that? Do you train a lot of people like that?
yeah, I try to, and like I do stuff like unapologetically putting posts up there where I'm just showing a
Mm-hmm.
strong guy doing Pilates. It's not just to do
Yeah,
with dancer things. Like, I want to be that guy that's out there just doing it. So like someone looks at
you
that, it's
are.
like that. Well, yeah, exactly. So now more people need to see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the small corner of the world that sees it gets it. Now, how do we get more people? How do I become more of an ambassador for that
Mm-hmm.
small brand of Pilates for athletes, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Or just
and
strong people, just there's like it's almost like in boxing there's two different there's your flyweights and your heavyweight boxing is a whole other thing. I mean, Pilates with a really strong person is different than Pilates with somebody who's never done any training in their life. And so
right,
it is a little it's different.
it's
It's
different,
a little bit it's the same but different.
right?
And what you have to speak into it, and you've been through it. And the
Yes,
problem is not the problem, but a lot of dancers do Pilates, and it's in that population, and so they speak to that body, and they speak to those people,
yes,
and there aren't as many people, and even people that look strong maybe aren't stable. Like, were
yes,
you a super stable? Were you a super stable guy, or like
yes,
Chris? I think
absolutely, yeah, yeah. Too
yeah,
stable,
some
right?
people
Like,
are strong. Yeah, like
right. Yeah, I mean,
like
Chris told me to stop working out, right? Like he was like,
yeah, he
he's
told me
like,
to step.
yeah, like punked. Like I didn't work out for
And you're
18
and
months.
wait,
Like,
wait, wait. Oh, did you listen to him right away?
I lost like 5 pounds of muscle, and I hated my life for the first 6 months, and eventually I started to level out. But at the same
Did you
time,
listen to him right away? Did you listen right away, or did it take you a little while
no, I listened right
after
away.
he
I
said
was like,
you did?
yeah, well, because I'm seeing this guy who's a fighter, who's
I
a guy
know.
who's a non-dancer, who's a black guy doing Pilates. Who worked for him. Ramona told him to stop working out, and he did it. I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. Let me get this in my body.
Nice.
Let's see where we go. But hey, I mean, I don't want to look like a hero because I hate it. I hated it. Like my wife was just like, you are miserable because you're not lifting right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, football season came around. I'm playing flag football. I'm like, if I go on the field that first day and I'm slower, or someone pushing me around, or someone pushed me off the ball, I'm back to lifting the next day. You know what I'm saying? But then I was like, I was a bit lighter, but I was definitely faster. My hips were better, no injuries for the next couple of years. Well, no injuries still. So it was a game changer for me. And I was like, okay, that just reinforced it for me one more time.
Yeah. It took me it was just hard because I was so addicted to my life. Like I get up,
Right.
go to the gym.
That's
I
it.
was actually being a professional athlete is really hard to retire because your whole day, like your whole life is just organized. Or,
Yes.
train, eat, sleep, train, eat, sleep.
Right.
Everything's
Yeah.
everything's so my whole routine around boxing takes a long, you go to the gym, it's hours of your day, and then my
Mhm.
other work. And so it took me a little while. Everything else I listed, things that he told me to do, specific exercises, but stop boxing, it took me a while to stop. And after I did, I was like, oh, why didn't I listen to him earlier? But you have to go through what you go through.
Yeah.
And then he said you'll be able to go back. I remember him saying
Right.
that. And now, so when COVID came, the first thing I did was like put the towers up, put my mats down, put in a heavy bag.
Yes.
So
We're
I
back,
just
baby. We're
went,
back. Yeah.
yeah, back to my baby. But and now I can do it, and yeah, with ease, and not. There was a point in diminishing returns with boxing, and I had reached it,
Mhm.
and Pilates restored that, and I
Yes.
truly return to life for real, for real. I
Facts.
mean,
Yeah.
we didn't even touch on my heart attack that I had last year, but this method restores your heart
It,
attack last year.
okay, so in counseling, they call it the doorknob phenomenon, where if you're talking with someone, you're having a counseling session, and they're telling you things, and you're making progress and stuff, and on the way out the door, when they put their hand on the doorknob, they're like, oh, and by the way, I'm leaving my wife tomorrow. And you're like, wait, come back, what's going on? You can't just tell me about a heart attack when we're like 10 minutes overtime. Like,
Are we overtime? Oh my God.
but tell me anyway. Like,
Yeah.
let's go.
No, last year, November, I think it was November 3rd, I had a massive heart attack. And I'm in the hospital and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you didn't die." And they said like massive heart attacks 5,000 million times. And so, long story real short, came home from work, 6 a.m. It was daylight savings time, so I had worked an extra hour, 6 a.m. Just thinking I was fatigued. My upper back was tight.
Yes.
And I was like, maybe I just did too much on the barrel,
Yeah.
kind of that feeling.
Right. Yeah.
Chest cracking feeling.
Yes.
And went back to bed. A couple hours later, got up again. I was still there. Sunday, the next day, I had off from work, but I was going to the studio, had my coffee, and I felt it, just like an elephant just sitting on my chest. But my fight prep had prepared me for that moment, all those years of training. So I was so calm. When chaos strikes,
yes.
I'm the girl you want, right? I'm the soldier. Yeah. I'm like, everything becomes calm. I unlocked the door, I called 911, I sat down on the couch, I'm on the phone, I'm like, okay, they really need to get here. I could feel myself becoming incapacitated.
Yes.
It's kind of like you're outside your body, sort of. Yes. I was very calm though. I'm texting people like, "Oh, I'm having a heart attack," and they came. Yes. In the ambulance, I was texting. So they gave me the nitro, and anyway, they get me right in. They're so that they're going to go through the groin or through the wrist, and already like telling them what to do, like go through the wrist, so I didn't have to take off time from working out. This is it's crazy.
I gotta work out tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I was in for one day and I was out and I was back in the studio in 2 days and back to work in a week. And nothing happened. Nothing happened to me. It was just a piece of plaque that broke off. And you hear that like an athlete just dies in their sleep. And so the doctor showed me, he's like, no damage, nothing happened to you. Go about your business. And so I did. But in that moment is when I choose studio life over the casino. I said, yeah. I was right in the middle of renovating this place. Yeah. My new studio. And in that moment I could have dumped it. Mm-hmm. It was like a crossword, like choose yes.
Yes.
Choose no, dump it.
Yeah.
I don't hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay now?
Okay.
How's that?
Oh, I can't hear you, Martin.
Okay. Can you hear me now? A little bit of an echo there.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I can still hear you. I caught everything you just said a minute ago. Yeah. No?
Sorry.
That's okay. I can still hear you. I'm just typing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's the universe telling us.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yes. But thank you. I'll send you, and for everyone who's listening, thank you so much for joining us today. You'll see the replay coming up a bit later, and I'll sign